We are back, everybody, and today we are looking at the Zhiyun crane S2, which I have combined with the Blackmagic in this case, because it's a beast of a camera, but not every stabilizer can carry such a camera. I chose the S2 because it's wide enough to carry it, it's strong enough to carry it, and it's not on the most expensive end when it comes to stabilizers. I also equipped a back handle because I like to have this kind of control. I chose that instead of the side handle, which I was not such a fan of. Also, I like that I can stabilize it against my chest if I'm to move around. And I thought that we were gonna test its abilities with Mikka, my friend here, who's gonna be walking around modeling as an astronaut. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
This is not a showing of the crane's different settings and abilities, such as pressing the button 3 times makes it switch to selfie mode, but it's more an overall showing of how the Blackmagic performs on the crane itself. Of course, before we can actually use our stabilizer, we gotta balance our camera on there. Without going into too much details on how to do that in this video, it's worth mentioning that the stabilizer has 3 locking mechanisms, making it easier to stabilize one angle at a time instead of stressing with all 3 at once. But it is worth mentioning that if you never used a stabilizer before, it will take some practice to get into it. But do not fear, because it does not take too many tries before you get a hang of it, and if you're using the same camera every time, you will know approximately where to stabilize it in order to get the best result. Now let's see how the stabilizer does with the Blackmagic. First, we're just going to use the controls to tilt upwards with the stabilizer. And let's see that again. Now this time we're just going to follow along, moving down and then up again with the stabilizer. Let's see what it looks like on camera. Now let's just move to one side and then the other side using the controls as well to see what it looks like when we pan a bit around.
So one thing you can do with the Zhiyun crane is you can actually remove this part, which a lot of people choose to do when they use something like the Blackmagic especially, because it stands in the way of the screen. I've chosen not to do it yet. I haven't experienced the problem being too bad yet, but you can actually remove this part so it becomes a bit smaller and the screen becomes more accessible.
Okay, now let's try to do some walking with the stabilizer. Here we are walking sideways. As you can see, my cameraman is following along without stabilization in her camera, and this is the result from the Blackmagic. Let's just see a side-to-side comparison, because the Blackmagic itself without the stabilizer would be shaking just as much. And here's a shot of me just trying to hold it as still as I can. Here's me spinning it around on the stabilizer controls just to see how smooth it would actually look. And here's a few following shots where I just wanted to make it look a bit handheld without actually shaking too much. And here's applying a bit of warp stabilizer from Premiere Pro. Sure, the stabilizer is a game changer and it does the job. But does that mean I can just lean back and let it do all the work? Well, take a look at these jitters and missed focus and weird controls. It's just to show you that even though you get any kind of stabilizer, it's still gonna take practice. A stabilizer alone won't solve your problems. It's just gonna make it a bit easier, but you still gotta put in the work and effort to learn how to actually use it. Because even with a stabilizer, your footage can still look shaky and you'll just end up blaming the stabilizer for it because you didn't put in the practice necessary to actually master it. So if you're aware of all this, then here's my final thought on getting the Zhiyun Crane 2S for the Blackmagic.
It's almost a must to have a stabilizer for especially the Blackmagic. It's also very nice to have for any other camera. It just gives this extra stabilization whether you have it built in or not. But it also takes a lot of practice. There's still a lot to learn, even for me, who's just used it a few times. There are different settings, and just knowing which setting to use when and finding the balance, as well as using this little wheel that makes it turn, how much is too much, how much is not enough, and what happens when it goes wrong. So practice is always key, but I do recommend it. It is a huge game changer, not just with the Blackmagic, but with any camera that you use. So that's a bit on the crane, and if you want to know a bit about the lens we used, come back next time where we'll talk about why this lens is a good beginner lens for the Blackmagic camera. It's quite affordable and it's sharp as well. So I hope I see you next time.